Please go and support this brother's content. And I know it's draining. I know it's draining. We've all seen the pictures, we've seen the videos, I've seen things through the screen that I never thought I would ever, ever have to see. Ever. But let's not forget that we have the privilege of seeing this through a screen. And there are many people, way too many people, that are seeing this with their own eyes every single day, that live those horrors every single day. I know it's been 13 months, 14 months, which that alone is fucking insane. That alone is nothing that I could ever comprehend, that I could ever fully understand. But do not stop talking about Palestine. Do not stop talking about the Congo. Do not stop talking about Sudan. Do not stop talking about Yemen. Do not stop talking about Lebanon. Do not stop talking about what is not real is doing in the name of creating greater Israel. And if you don't know what that is, I suggest you take a Google search or two. But brace yourselves, because this is neo-colonization at its finest. And if you're anything like me, then you will feel the same way, because in the last 12 months we've posted, we've talked, we've held lives, we've collected money, we have created GoFundMes, we've donated, we have marched, we have protested, we have demonstrated, we have tried to break silences, we have amplified Palestinian voices, and nothing has helped. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. It's not as if this is anywhere close to an end. It's not as if we are anywhere close to being in a position of now, okay, there has been a political agreement, there has been a law put in place, anything of that nature, we can now start rebuilding. Nothing like this has happened. We are not even there yet. So it is now more than ever important to not stop talking about Palestine, not stop talking about Congo, Sudan, Yemen, Lebanon, Haiti, every single oppressed nation in the world. And like I said, I get it. I absolutely understand, because especially after all these things that have happened, petitions, GoFundMes, donations, demonstrations, everything that has happened, nothing has been done. It feels so defeating. It feels so defeating. There are people literally on the ground, for example, in Congo, receiving donations from all over the world, trying to make a better life for people living under a silent genocide. The fact that we are even calling this a silent genocide in 2024, where we are supposed to be civilized, and 7 million people are being displaced so that the tech industry can comfortably continue to exploit the African continent, is beyond anything I could ever comprehend. Ever. That after over 200,000 people have lost their lives in Palestine, Israel now turned around and were like, Syria, Yemen, and Lebanon. And threw bombs so significant and so destructive that they triggered the Richter scala. If you don't know what that is a scala to measure earthquakes. I'm going to say this again so that you can have that sink in. Israel threw bombs at other countries that were so severe and so destructive that it triggered the Richter scala. This is not self-defense. It has never been about self-defense. It has never been about defense at all. This has been about neo-colonization. This has been about exploitation, about expanding your so-called land of God or your so-called land of the chosen people. I don't give a fuck whatever the hell you call it. At the end of the day, it all boils down to neo-colonization. Full stop. A few months back, it broke headlines. It didn't break headlines the way it should have, because it was just on TikTok. There was barely any, I don't even think there was any news coverage about it at all. And I'm going to put a trigger warning before I say this. 130 women 130 women unalive themselves to escape the regime in Sudan, to escape rape, to escape being violated and assaulted multiple times a day, because they thought the only exit is death. The only salvation, the only safety, the only peace is death. And this is a good example of how history repeats itself, because back during the transatlantic slave trade, a group of, I think it was around 100 people too, from the Igbo tribe in Nigeria, which my family is from, chose to drown themselves in the sea because they refused to be enslaved, because they refused to live in slavery, because they knew or they felt, probably they were right, death is better than slavery. Death is better than living under the condition they were facing. The fact that these things are still happening, the fact that we have an happening that's called Igbo landing, by the way, you can look that up on Google if you wish, that happened hundreds of years ago because people tried to escape slavery. And now we have and this is not the only case, this is just the case that made it to the news. A group of 130 women so desperate, so empty, so left alone, that they decided suicide is their only way out in 2024. I get that we are all becoming desensitized because we are being bombarded by terrible news for the last, not only the last 13 months, not only since October 7th, since always, okay, since the existence of the fucking internet. And I get that there is some level of desensitization happening, that I even think that's a human process, because our brain at some point protects us from literally falling into a rabbit hole of horrific news and atrocities that humans do to each other in the name of capitalism. But please, for the love of God, do not stop talking. Do not stop talking. And I also want to keep this here as a reminder, this is not politics. This is not politics. The topics or the whole discourse about Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Yemen, Lebanon, Haiti, this is not politics. Human rights, or the lack thereof, are not politics. You think they are politics because right-wing parties make it look like that, or the general system of classism and capitalism makes it look like human rights are debatable or are political. They are not. Human rights are a bare minimum of existence. Human right is the barest necessities that a human should be having. It's not a fucking political debate. And if a country found in 1948 on already inhabited land is now expanding itself by force into already existing countries to an extent that they are bombing those countries, that it gives waves and destruction like an earthquake, is not enough for you to understand that that is not self-defense but neo-colonization, then you need to go to fucking hell. That's all. That's not debatable. That's not debatable. And let me also say this, I'm standing 10 toes down on that, and I don't care what you want to call me. Israel does not have the right to exist. Full stop. I didn't say Israel's people. The government, the state of Israel, does not have the right to exist on stolen land. That I'm not going to debate that. That's facts. Because if I come to your house and I start beating you up and I start killing your family and I tell you your house is my house, you would think I'm insane. We've gone over this multiple times. This is literally what the whole of Europe did to the whole of the African continent. And you still want to tell us that this is self-defense? No. That is colonization. And colonizers do not have the right to exist. If you want them to exist so badly, why don't you give them part of Germany? Since this is where they had to run away from, because Germans couldn't get each other in check, couldn't stop killing people. Why don't you give them Germany if you're so pressed on them existing, the state existing?